Oh, I hope it doesn't crash. Information version 3.54. I didn't notice any downloads or notifications, so I had to go into the menu mighty quick. Looks like the music is still running, so the game did not crash when going into the crossbar menu of the PlayStation. I'm going to reboot the laptop. I'll get to the comments shortly. So for various reasons I had some downtime, but I'm back again every day 2 o'clock in the PM. I like to say a nice thank you for watching, everybody, and thanks for a couple of new subscribers. I'm glad you enjoyed this. Let's start with a replay. So I'm gonna keep running the game for 2 hours. If it works for 2 hours across all game modes, I'm gonna call it and say that the game is now vanilla. I wonder if I already reviewed version 3.54. Let's see. He got me in 3.55, less than 4 minutes. So I'm thinking he's going to go through the wall. Let's look at my status. I should probably put a rapid deploy. Oh yeah, and I need to see if they have a cumulative effect. If these 4 sergeants make for 60% accuracy and damage. I don't think so. That would be really weird. I need to move that mortar. I think I might want to move it forward a bit. That should not be a problem. And then have these guys try and get through here first. Less than 2 minutes. 2 minutes to go. What is he going to do? Alright, he seems to be packing up a lot of units. How's my defense? Almost there. Yeah, this is how I would do it. 6, 7 riot officers. Healing hats, all that good stuff. Break through this wall. Put another rally flag down here. let's move that ahead. Wow, I got some headlines. People are panicking in Turkey, selling all their stocks or all their money, and that has a global effect. The Russian Prime Minister, that's still Medvedev. New sanctions, new US sanctions would be declaration of economic war. I think we're going to listen, see what he has to say over there. Yeah, so Trump is putting in new sanctions. There goes the narrative that he's a Russian stooge. I don't think he's I think President Donald J. Trump is probably the most American person I've ever seen. You can say a lot about what he is, but you can't say he's not an American. He's the consummate American. Believe me. So, as diplomatic tensions again escalate between the US and Russia following the announcement of new sanctions, Russia's Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev warned the United States on Friday that Russia would regard any move to curb the activities of its banks as a declaration of economic war, which it would retaliate against. This is definitely an interesting article. Medvedev said Moscow would take economic, political, and other retaliatory measures against the United States if Washington targeted Russian banks. Currency war. Great. Oh, by the way, I'm Dutch. I live in Holland. We have the most trust in our press. Our press is the most trusted in Europe. The least trusted press in Europe is the United Kingdom. They are ranked 33 out of 33 countries. So don't listen to the tabloids in England. They're full of shit, which is weird because the BBC is the most trusted news source. But if you take a good look at it, so is Fox News. That's number 2 on the list for the Americans. So I'm gonna have a go at, alright, let's do that mortar. Very good. I want to get to level 51. So I need to put a rapid deploy on those guys. Do it. This needs to move elsewhere. Actually put it forward a bit so they try to get at it. I wonder if they will try to destroy it at bottom, because I left it open. I got some more reading to do. Let's do a CPU defend. If you don't like that kind of thing, please skip ahead for about 20 minutes. Yeah. So, continue. The Russians. If they introduce something like a ban on banking operations or the use of any currency, we will treat it as a declaration of economic war. And we will have to respond to it accordingly, economically, politically, or in any other way, if required, he said. Our American friends should make no mistake about it, he cautioned. Medvedev also noted that Russia has a long history of surviving economic restrictions and never caved in to the pressure in the past. Quote, our country has been living under constant pressure through sanctions for the last 100 years. According to Medvedev. So they're not taking the bait up here, apparently. Let's get that camera. Accusing the US and its allies of employing sanctions to undercut global competition. The Russian PM said that by targeting Russia's gas exports to Europe, Washington wants to push its own LNG shipments to the continent. Now, here's where you're going to know why. Because I'm Dutch, I'm more objective. He's absolutely right. We had to pay 5 times the amount to the Americans to ship it, these huge tankers to Rotterdam. Now, listen, we have plenty of natural gas of our own. We just don't want to tap into it because it causes earthquakes. We could have it at 20% of the price if we buy it from Russia. So I'm not taking any sides here. I'm one of the most objective people right now because I'm in between. We want to be friends with the Russians. We need to stay friends with the Americans. But we're getting a raw deal. Push their own natural gas shipments to the continent. Quote, it's an absolutely non-market, anti-competition measure aimed at strangling our capabilities. He also pointed out that the US is simultaneously imposing tariffs on China. The Chinese obviously don't like it, no one does, and our goal is to resist all these measures, unquote. Medvedev's statement reflects Russia's fear over the impact of new restrictions on its economy and assets, including the ruble, which tumbled 6%. The ruble is like the Russian dollar, which lost 6% of its value because of these sanctions. With economists expecting the economy to grow by 1.8% this year, which is actually not bad. Some fear that if new sanctions proposed by Congress and the State Department are implemented in full, growth would be almost cut to zero. But inflation always happens, so you need to have at least 1.8 growth to keep up with inflation, otherwise the food and everything gets more expensive in Russia. On a quick side note, ever since the oil price dropped, the Russians don't have enough money to bribe their own people, so that because this is what they are doing. The Russians are bribing their own people so they don't revolt. As you can tell, I'm not taking sides here. I'm just pointing out that they don't have enough money to bribe their own people anymore. They need at least $100 or $80 oil price to do that, and I think it's about 60, I'm not sure. On Wednesday, the State Department announced a new round of sanctions targeting Russian exports of electronics and other national security controlled equipment, which will come into effect on August 22nd, and which pushed the Russian currency to 2 years low, so it hasn't been that bad for 2 years, and sparked a wider sell-off over fears Russia was locked in a spiral of never-ending sanctions. So Russia is really feeling the hurt here. So I'm not a big fan of Trump, but he's right in this regard. So something else is pushing him to make these sanctions. We'll get into the deep state later on. Separate legislation introduced last week by Republican and Democratic senators in the US, dubbed, quote, the sanctions bill from hell by one of its backers, proposes curbs on the operation of several state-owned Russian banks in the US and restrictions on their use of the dollar. Now, we started to pay for their gas in rubles, or pay for oil in rubles, then we would get invaded. What you have to understand is that money is no longer backed up by gold. It is now backed up by oil. And the kind of people that wanted to not buy their gold in dollars are, first of all, Saddam Hussein. So he got fucked. And then Muammar Gaddafi. And guess what happened to him? Again, I'm not trying to bash the USA here. I love the Americas. Even though the Canadians liberated Holland, while Kravens was busy in a pissing contest with Montgomery. I like the Americans because they killed a lot of Nazis. But not as much as the Russians. The Russians killed a whole lot of Nazis. And a good Nazi is a dead Nazi. What you do have to remember is we need to engage with the right, with the political right, the people that are usually mostly against another person's skin color. You need to keep talking to them, because if you don't talk to them, they're going to go underground, and then you have real problems. Back to the article. Moscow's strategy of trying to improve US-Russia ties by attempting to build bridges with Trump backfired after the lawmakers there launched new sanctions because they fear Trump is too soft on Russia. That in turn piled pressure on Trump to show he's tough on Russia ahead of midterm elections. Let's not talk about Robert Mueller and Russian collusion. That's a non-story, that's bullshit. The problem for Russia is that there is little it could do to hit back at the US without damaging its own economy or depriving its consumers of goods. And officials in Moscow have made clear they do not want to get drawn into what they describe as a mutually damaging tit-for-tat sanctions war, similar to what the US is doing with China. So the US is imposing tariffs on Chinese goods, which is correct because they artificially made their money worth less, so Chinese products are cheaper. Another thing that China does is steal intellectual property. This is not good, and Trump is right to install these tariffs, but you're only going to make it worse. What is this? I'm going to have to wait for this guy. These tend to crash in. So, the Russians don't want to be in the same problem that China has right now. The threat, by the way, China can manipulate its currency because they have a communist dictatorship there. So they can do whatever they want. They can kill students in Tiananmen Square, people that wanted to revolt. And they can manipulate their currency because a communist is maybe the exact opposite of a capitalist, but not so much in China anymore. They've went over to a semi-capitalist economy where you can fuck over the poor. That's my second fuck of the day. Only 3 fucks allowed today, so I've got to watch it. The threat of more US sanctions kept the ruble under pressure. It's sending the ruble down in value, sending it crashing past 2-year lows at some point before it took back some of those losses. Now, they're going to the ruble, when it's cheap, people want to buy more rubles, and that's why the ruble gets more expensive. And then people take their profit and just sell them again. That's how capitalism works. Commenting on the currency slide, the Russian central bank said the ruble's fall to multi-month low on news of new US sanctions was natural reaction, and that it had the necessary tools to prevent any threat to financial stability. Okay, so the Russians are trying to not buy too many dollars because, well, that's how you retaliate. Oh, hang on. Pay attention, Kravens. Let's see, this is a lot of economic stuff. Oh yeah, one of the things the Russians are doing, they're the US is a debtor nation, and I think it has $21 trillion of debt, something like that. That's $1.50 for every year the universe has existed. I know, sorry, that's $1,500 for every, right? Yeah, that's $1,500 for every year the universe has existed. But what America will do is it will just print more money because you need to have dollars to buy oil. But the Russians said, okay, we're going to take a loss and we're selling all these bonds, all this debt of America, we're just selling it. We take a loss, but that's the only way they can put pressure on the Americans. And with Americans, I mean the United States. Probably because I've been watching so much of the Netflix show The Americans. I'm in season 5 now. It's an awesome show. The best story since Tom Clancy, which I liked his books. For now, the fate of the US bill Medvedev was referring to is not certain. Congress will not be back until September, and even then, Congress should aides say they did not expect the measure would pass in its entirety. Let's go to the comments. Putin made a mistake meeting the orange clown. Okay. There's another guy. Says they said the same thing last year and have done nothing about it. All the big players are sitting on their hands until our economy, the US, implodes while the monsters running the West, the Russian economy implodes while the monsters running the West are in the fight of their lives to keep the system together another day. Nothing happens until it happens, and then you have decades worth of news in a single week. Wow. This is how wars start. They start with economic wars and tariffs. Then they go into currency wars, where you destroy entire economies. People starve. And then people will make war for food. The entire Second World War was fought over food. Nobody tells you this. So, Turkey. Another thing about Turkey right now is that they are selling Turkish bonds. Why? Because their currency is falling. And that's having a global effect. Everybody says sell, sell, sell. And the more people say sell, the more the thing is just going to go to hell. This all started when they paid for F-35s and were not willing to send them to them. But they already paid for it. So yeah, Turks are mad. And they still think they have like an empire. But that empire died in the First World War. I don't think they got the message. I have to say, when it comes to Turkey, I'm not that objective. I have Turkish friends. He was a really cool guy. Sure he is. But he's a bit paranoid. And they have a very high opinion of themselves. But I'm just going to be honest. I'm not very objective when it comes to Turkey. Basically, they should stop fucking their cousins. Because it leads to inbreeding and the IQ drops a bit more. It's just not good. After weeks of a slow but controlled collapse, investors finally hit the panic button when the Turkish lira crashed as much as 12%. So that's 12% of your entire economy gone. I thought, they have some kind of... Nope, I didn't time that right. It's only wave 15. Let's see. I'll just give you the short version of this this article about Turkey. The Turkish lira was the worst performing emerging market currency in 2018. And as the currency was headed for its worst week since 2001, the collapse has surpassed even the Argentine peso. Now Argentina is a country that's always broke. And they have a lot of debt. I should probably shut the fuck up about... Oh, there's my third fuck. Shut up about Argentina, because our queen is Argentinian. And I don't want the Dutch. I don't want to antagonize our king, who I really like. Our king is a pretty cool dude. And I actually tried to go into the Marine Corps because of how much I love our former queen and king. So it looks like their currency is crashing, so they need to act now, said a banker. The lira will keep falling if they don't hike rates today. Now the only way you can keep this currency from falling is you have to increase the interest rate. So it's more interesting for people to buy lira to make money off the interest rate. But if you do that, your economy is going to slow down. That's why the European banks now have always had 0% interest rates for the past 10 years. We've been giving money away to the banks and they lend it back to us at 4%. So you got to wonder what is that? What's happening there? Then again with Erdogan, that's a PM, stated preference that rates never go up, it's quite possible that nothing happens. Okay, Friday's fall came after the Financial Times. This might be boring to you, but it's the most important news I can give you. People don't study economics. They say economics is a very boring subject, and it is, but it's also probably the most important subject you can be an expert in, which I am. Economics is another way of doing politics. So, like Clausewitz, he's a very famous guy. He said that war is a diplomatic engagement through other means. So war is an extension of diplomacy, which is an extension of politics, which is an extension of economics. It all starts with economics. The biggest Cold War and the current wars are fought about economic ideology, not about territory. It's about how do we make the best economy. Let's get the short version. European Central Bank is concerned about the risk that Turkish borrowers might not be hedged against the lira's weakness and begin to default on foreign currency loans, which makes up about, okay, that's kind of complicated. Let's see if I can make that easy. So if your money is worthless, people lending money in Turkey, they don't have a backup position. They did not try to have an insurance policy in case that happens. So if that happens, they're kind of, you actually lose. You go into debt. Instead of having money, now you owe money. That's why these bankers all jump off the building when there's a crash. It couldn't happen to nicer people, I said. That's sarcasm. That means when you say something, when I mean the opposite thing. Sarcasm will be outlawed. In the future, 50 years from now, you cannot be sarcastic. And in 100 years from now, you can't even be ironic. So, sorry about that. What's her name? Alanis Morissette. They should have put her in jail anyway. I heard that Alanis Morissette's voice is bothering her. It's been bothering me forever. That's a funny. 50 seconds to go. Okay, let's see what the next article is. I'll be talking Tesla. Yeah, so Turkey's currency problems are now the global problems. Because everybody in Turkey is selling, I want to sell, I want to sell, I want to sell. The entire world is now going, I want to sell, I want to sell, I want to sell, and nobody wants to buy. So that's a big, big problem. New World Order, fuck that shit. Oh, why not, man? It's juicy. It's a juicy story. So one of the people we say is behind the so-called New World Order is a family called Rothschild, or German Rothschild, which means red shield. Their family crest is a red shield. Now what happened in the 14th and 15th century, they started noticing that the farmers were getting too rich. So the farmers, they make food and they sell the food, but the people, the royal people, because they were all kings then, they didn't like that very much. So what they decided to do is to make the farmers lend a lot of money, and then they're in debt, and that way they can control the farmers. This is going to be an awesome article. I'll be explaining this on the back end of the loading screens. Let's play some guns up. Robocar. Yeah, let's have some tea first. Every 3-scholar has bombardiers. Is this a strong one? This is the strongest one I can get. Let's do this one. No ammo. Yeah, let's test the sergeant. Test drive that guy. It's awesome. Do it. What I want for my base as well. Take away accuracy. Put in rapid deploy. Never mind. I want a fast reload on this guy. I don't need any of that stuff. Put a rapid deploy on. Hold on. Hello? Cool. I need one more. Do I have a golden? Probably not. Let's go for fast reload. You already have a fast reload. Speed. What is this perk again? Munitions gained by skill, by kills, so I'll get more munitions. Oh, that is interesting. Maybe put a volunteer perk on her. What? Yes, I got it. Switch out the iron lungs. She's a smoker, so she needs an iron lung. So I'll get more munitions off of this guy. Good, because I use him a lot. Very good. I probably won't be able to do any metrics on that. No ammo. I'd like to do missions as well. No, you gotta be clever here. Berserk, unit damage, unit health. Bring in a focus fire. Okay. Once I run out of those, I'll just have to think of something else. More about the New World Order after this match. I think I need to brute force this base and then go top. Not really. I think I want to go... Damn it, that was too late. I think I want to rush this guy, right? Now. I've got 2 focus fires now, that's good. Rally flag is a bit too late. Come on. That's a ton of sergeants. Good stuff. Do it now. Here, come on. Stop glitching. Alright, they found a way into the base. Alright, get him, boys. So just have to brute force the back of the base. Should be easy. My sergeant. Ah, I lost one. Pulling back, strength in numbers. Got a couple of vets in there, man. Alrighty, holy. Take away the ring. Oh, okay. These are all fine. So, never mind the Illuminati. This is the real guy with the real power. The Rothschild family. And over the past 3 years, an unexpected voice of caution has emerged from one of the most legendary families in finance, Lord Jacob Rothschild. Remember, this goes back to the 14th century. Readers may recall that as part of the Capital Partners annual report, so his company, the Rothschild warned that the geopolitical situation is the most dangerous since World War II. 1 year later, he again warned about the outcome of what is surely the greatest experiment in monetary policy in the history of the world. And then he said, share prices have in many cases risen to unprecedented levels at a time when economic growth is by no means assured. So our companies, they put out shares, and the price of those shares is a lot more than their companies are actually worth, or the rate that they grow. Let's give you the quick version. The period of monetary accommodation may well be coming to an end. We're going to stop giving away money to the banks for free, so they can lend it back to me at 4%. And 9/11, September 11, and the 2008 financial crisis, the powers of the world worked together with a common approach. So in these two crises, everybody worked together on the globe. Now, not so much. The Russians, the Chinese, and the Americans are not cooperating. Cooperation today is proving much more difficult. This puts at risk the post-war economic and security order. We always have the United Nations, so we could talk. That might end. It could be that the Chinese are going to walk away from the United Nations. Could be the Russians are. It very well could be that the Americans this time are going to go, fuck you. That's my fourth fuck you, right? Okay, so I'm over my, I broke the fuck meter, okay? They're going to go, we're not going to pay off our loans. And after that, I want to go to the other article. We are now seeing some areas of weaker growth. We continue to believe that it's not an appropriate time to add risk. That's a big ass once color, and he's got bombardiers. God damn it. Okay, I'll do the bombardier. 6 bunkers. At least it's not a maze. I don't think so. And they're his veterans. They might have all died. Let's bring some ammo here. Bring the focus fire. Get a rally flag in case it doesn't drop. Berserk it. Health is good. Damage is better. No health. Wow. Let's go get to that article. That's way more interesting. This Rothschild guy is saying that the geopolitical situation is most dangerous since World War II. Now I'm actually going to enjoy these long loading screens so I can read this interesting stuff and report back to my Guns Up clan and my viewers. I appreciate the viewership. I especially appreciate their loyalty. After I was down for about a week, it's just too hot. I couldn't get into my Google account. Google needs to fix that. I got an email saying there was suspicious activity on my Google account linked to my YouTube account, which is linked to my PlayStation 4 account. And the suspicious activity in this case was that Google wasn't fixing it. This is a well-known problem for people that they're logged out of their YouTube on their PlayStation. Hey, Kravens, wake up, man. Seven and a half minutes. I do get more munitions off of these guys now. Am I going to rush this base? I really shouldn't. I want to keep making them munitions. Some sweet, sweet munitions. That's not making a dent. I really need to get ahead of this. Yes, I got a second rally flag. This is excellent. Push over here. Not good. Push here. What was that? Nice. I got some good cards to drop in. I might actually be getting good at this game. I lost a lot of veterans there. Not good. I think this is a semi-open base, right? Yes. Push it. This is the biggest threat. After that, this is the biggest threat. Then here. Decoy, rally flag. Strength in numbers. Stack up on the grunts. I lost all my vets. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them. Get him. This looks good. So again, this guy called Rothschild, a huge banker, he has trillions of dollars. Nobody really knows how much money he has. That's how much money he has. So him saying that keeping his money has become very difficult recently. He said recently, as he warns, we are faced with a geopolitical situation as dangerous as any we have faced since the Second World War. Furthermore, oh, damn. I'm gonna go into this article here. If you're not a fan of CPU Defend, right now I'm trying to test all game modes, and I'm trying to read this article. So this super banker summarizes his thoughts as he touches on the global debasement of currencies, disappointing growth, and extreme stock market valuations. So the problem is, money is only as good as we trust it. If we don't trust the money anymore, then the money is worthless. Also, the economy, the companies are not growing as they should. I explained this earlier. If you don't grow as much as inflation is usually about, the money gets worth less, about 2% every year. If you don't make that 2% up in growth or more profits, then you have a problem. Then you're actually losing money, and that's what's happening. Especially since we're lending them the money at 0%. I believe some people are actually paying people to lend to them. Can you imagine that? That bank would pay me to loan money? To loan their money? Let's go get the wave 5. I gotta get the wave 5 here, man. That's true. So Kravens, I hear you say, why are you telling me all of this? Why are you just not playing Gunfight? This is the most interesting stuff in the world, possibly. I am taking my cue from a guy you should probably check out. It's called Joe Rogan. He has a very popular podcast. You might know him from his commentary on the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Also, he used to present Fear Factor, and he's himself is a big martial arts guy. Plus, he's a stand-up comedian. He's not the best stand-up comedian, but he's pretty funny. No offense, Joe. And he has a podcast with a lot of interesting people, and this is about the interesting I can get at it. So, this guy is trying to keep his money. And yeah, the thing is, if your company grows over 2%, then you're making a profit. But the stocks, so other people get a piece of your company, the price of those is too high. There's not enough profit in it, in your company, for the amount of money you're asking for a part of that company. That should be pretty basic, right? Okay, so this guy is trying to keep his wealth. Equities are not well supported by current valuation. That's another way of saying your company costs too much. It doesn't give me enough money in profit, in dividend, than what you say it needs to be. A good example of that is Tesla Motors. But that's an entire story. I'll give you the short version. At a time of heightened risk, complexity and uncertainty, the economic and geopolitical environment therefore becomes increasingly difficult to predict. The world economy grew at a disappointing and uneven rate in 2014 after 6 years of stimulus. But stocks cost too much still. Not surprisingly, because the banks are lending, the central banks, like the European Bank, is giving all these banks free money, basically. And they can sell it back to me at 4%. But that's not enough. So they keep printing money, and that's why the currency is getting... You need what? In Venezuela you need tons of money to buy bread. And as a matter of fact, in Venezuela now, the money itself is worth less than toilet paper. You're better off wiping your ass with the money than buying toilet paper with it. I'm sorry, that's not funny. Well, it kind of is, but it's not supposed to be funny. As countries have sought to compete and generate growth by lowering the value of their currency, the euro and the yen, we lost 12% of my money? Fucking ass. Against US dollar? Jesus, that money is worthless really, but okay, you have to buy dollars to get oil. I understand. So we lost 12% of our money. Damn. This means I have to pay more for my food. I've already noticed that. It also means that I'm being taxed more for everything. Thank you, government. Okay, let's get back at this. In addition to all these problems economically, we are confronted by a geopolitical situation perhaps as dangerous since World War II. Chaos and extremism in the Middle East, meaning ISIS, and the Cold War between Saudi Arabia and Iran. But it's the same thing. Russia is Iran, basically. Chaos and extremism in the Middle East, so where Russia and China are with Iran, and America is with Saudi Arabia. So that's a Cold War. So there's a trouble in the Middle East. That's not really news. It's been trouble there for about 2,000 years now, maybe more. A week in Europe, Russian aggression, And this week in Europe is threatened by horrendous unemployment. There's not enough jobs. So, yeah, that's never good. In no small measure caused by a failure to tackle structural reforms in many of the countries which form part of the European Union. So, countries like Italy and Greece, they don't make enough money. They don't produce anything. Everybody has a house, but nobody knows where the money came from. Which means that we put pressure on the Greeks and the Italians to pay us back our money, and they can't pay back the money, so we have to bail them out, which means we have to lend them more money, and that means that they cannot make the economy better, so there's going to be no jobs. And when people have no jobs, they can't pay their mortgage, and that's where you get people saying that I can fix this for you. If only you vote for the Nazis, or if only you vote for the communists, I can fix that for you. So people vote that way. Get that guy. Okay, Colonel. Anything else? Okay, can you back off now? What? What? Get that guy. Holy smokes. Wave 10. I need to put this perfectly. 1, 2, 3. Like a surgeon. Hit him once. Twice. Blah. Okay, so there's 4 different ways this could all these problems could work out. Best case scenario, the economy gets better. If Trump can make the economy of the United States better, then they can afford to make us better. But that's only possible if we stop lending money at 0% to the banks for free. And the politicians don't want to do that, because the banks say, okay, you do this for me now, you vote for my stuff, and when you leave office, I got a nice job for you with a lot of money. And that's why all these politicians, all of them are corrupt, except the people, the communists, but they have a different way of corruption. They want to kill everybody that doesn't agree with them, and they don't care if everybody starves. So, I'm on the fence. I think capitalism has a lot of problems, but it's still the best way to get people out of poverty. So that it could be good. We could fix the economy. That could happen. Another one is we just kind of do that. The politicians don't do it, and they say, okay, we promise that we're gonna make it better, but they kind of make it really slowly, and they keep lending this money for no interest. So that doesn't really stimulate growth. But yeah, that's probably the most likely outcome. Another way is we stop fucking around. That's my five bucks already with the money, and say, okay, we're going to see higher inflation as a price worth paying for higher growth. So everything's gonna, they're gonna make it better by printing more money. And the money gets worth less, and they print more money, and the money is worth less. So that's probably the most likely scenario. That's what's going to happen. We're going to lose You're not going to lose any money, but it's just worthless or worthless. The other likely scenario is a depression. A major crisis leads to a sustained recession and defaults. The difference between a recession is take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. A depression is you can only walk backwards now. Everything gets worthless and people are going to have to pay more for toilet paper than the toilet paper you get. You might as well wipe your ass with the money. And that hasn't happened since 1929. And the depression then gave rise to people like Hitler. Hitler would never have come to power if you didn't have to get a wheelbarrow of money. I think it was about 300,000 Reichsmark. 300,000, 300,000, which was used to be worth as much as a dollar. But imagine you have to pay $300,000 for bread. And you have to bring a wheelbarrow to the grocery store because you need a wheelbarrow full of money to buy food. After that, it's obvious people are going to go to war. I got 7 minutes. So let me catch you guys back up. So there's chaos and extremism in the Middle East, Russian aggression in Georgia, Ukraine and Syria, and a weakened Europe threatened by horrendous unemployment, in no small measure caused by a failure to tackle structural reforms in many of the countries which form part of the European Union. This is the fault of the politicians. They don't want to make any hard choices because they think they won't get re-elected. Which is probably right. He won't get re-elected because people don't like it. They want a lot of good stuff. They want welfare and of course they want welfare and they want good hospitals, but nobody wants to pay for it. Everybody wants to buy, but nobody wants to pay. Notably, equities are not well supported. Blah blah blah. So yeah, the stock of the company is not worth. It's not worth the kind of price they're asking for it. For each scenario, the position of the bubble shows the combination of growth and inflation that we expect to see. Worst case scenario, that's a depression. Size of the bubble. So these 4 scenarios, I just explained them to you. They're either the economy gets better, or we just half-ass it, or we get a depression. And the 4 scenario is that we're going to change how money works. Most likely outcome is that we just half-ass it. The worst outcome is where there's low inflation and low growth. That's a depression. And the best outcome is high growth and high inflation. That's where you get economic renaissance, and maybe we just kind of muddle through because you have to pay for everything more and more and more and more. But we just let it happen. We just go ahead and we just stop buying dumb shit on the credit card. So there's a lot of mumbo jumbo. Notably, stocks are not well supported by currency valuation, while monetary policy is limited by high debt levels and interest rates that are already close to zero. You cannot make the money worth more by asking more interest for it, because the politicians don't want to do that. Because that makes the economy grow less, and they won't get re-elected. This is how wars start. Let's go to the comments. No comments yet. Be the first to add yours. I don't need no comments. We got one more. So let's go find a new article for the PvP I'm going to do. I want a cookie. Let's go eat a cookie before I have to buy it with a real barrel full of money. No fries on, guys. Holy shit. Let's go get these medics. So if I can add one quick thing about Turkey, where the shit is happening right now, with panic selling, they cracked down on a lot of journalists and teachers because they did not approve of their ideas. We want those people in Holland. We want them to come over here. They're excellent people. They are well educated. We want those people here. They will make a very good addition to the diversity we have over here. You know that in Amsterdam there are 240 different nationalities. There's only one other city that has 241. I think 240 to 39. There's one more in New York. There's one extra guy. They don't have like a, maybe they have an Azerbaijani or a Laotian. What the fuck is that? What did you call that? What the fuck Stanese? So, Trump is making tariffs on the steel and aluminum, and therefore the Turks are having issues. Just when you think Turkey's moment of agony couldn't get any worse, it did moments ago when watching the collapse of their currency and sensing perhaps that Erdogan's end is near. President Donald Trump blindsided the NATO member state with a tweet announcing that he's doubling Turkey's steel and tariffs to 50 and 20%. So we have to pay 25% to export to the United States if we remake steel. The Turks, they doubled it on the Turks. Why? Because, as he said, our relations with Turkey are not good at this time. He's trying to punish Turkey Quote, I've just authorized the doubling of steel and aluminum with respect to Turkey as their currency slides rapidly downward against our very strong dollar. Aluminum will now be 20% and steel 50%. Our relations with Turkey are not good at this time. Quote, I have just authorized a doubling of tariffs on steel and aluminum, tremendous, with respect to Turkey, as the currency of the Turkish lira slides rapidly downward against a very strong dollar. Aluminum will now be 20% and steel 50%. Our relations with Turkey are not good at this time. I bet he tweeted that. Trump asked the release of Pastor Burton, which Erdogan has so far staunchly refused to agree to. Yeah, what he wants is they got a pastor in there, so like a Catholic kind of guy. They're in there is a jail, and they want this religious guy out of Turkish jail, because Turkish jails are no fun. So now he's put these tariffs on him, and the currency is already in problem. It's called the lira. In response, the Turkish lira, which already has its worst day ever, just plunged even more. Meanwhile, the Turkish stock market is crashing and is down 50%. Let's go to the comments. Yes, Mr. President, put the screws on them. How long before Turkey leaves NATO? How long till NATO breaks up? That's great, man. So we're supposed to be allies with Russia. We're supposed to be on the same time. Sorry, Turkey. Sure, man. Yeah, what Turkey will probably do is they have a lot of refugees there, and they're going to go, okay, we're not longer we're going to throw out all the Syrian refugees and send them to Europe. Like we don't have enough already. I'm not being racist here. Matter of fact, I would like for more Turkish people to come over here. Especially the journalists and teachers which have been wrongfully imprisoned simply for reporting the truth. Right, that's not all great, right? That's kind of all sucks. Canadian oil prices. Cool. Oh, you're going to be glad that you're still tuning in. Finally, you got a cool story. This next article is about the world's largest cybercrime empire. Stay tuned. Gotta take it. I'm gonna make a pee-pee tape. I already told you about the Joe Rogan experience, his podcast. I really like it. Yesterday I had 2 guests on. One was Henry Rollins, musician. And the other guy was Jimmy Dore. And Jimmy Dore he's a comedian, but he also has a podcast where he gets angry at everybody. You get angry at the Republicans, you get angry at the Democrats, you get angry with the Libertarians, you get angry with the Green Party. But he's funny in that way. Anyway, back to the article. When you hear of state-sponsored cybercrime, you probably conjure up images of cybercriminals linked with the Russian government outwitting sophisticated infosec systems, information security systems, and stealing mountains of state data. This is going to go to North Korea, isn't it? No! It's going to go to the Ukraine. That's right. The Ukrainians are not the best hackers, but they do it a lot. It's my opinion that the Ukraine provided the rocket engines to the North Koreans. If you look at their new rockets real carefully, the new ICBMs which can target America, you can see that those rocket engines were built in the Ukraine by fascists. I don't want the Ukraine in NATO. And we should kick Turkey out of NATO. We should kick America out of NATO. I know it's controversial, but we don't need to buy their weapons that way. Because they want us to increase our defense spending, but we can only buy in America. That's a bit wonky. We need to have more defense spending, but it has to be bought in America. Why? Because the only thing America is making these days is weapons. They don't build cars anymore, not good ones. They don't build TVs worth of fuck. That's my 6th fuck. Definitely marathon session. Here in Holland, we produce more food every day, every year. We are the best at food. That's because I'm going to go off a tangent right now, in a small different direction. We have a university for farmers and farming. Americans don't have that. We have an entire university called the University of Wageningen. That's all about agriculture. Try doing that in America. There's no money in it. Why did we do that? Because we were starving under the Germans in 1944. It was called the Hunger Winter, where we started eating tulips and stuff. That was because they flooded our fields, trying to keep the Americans and the Canadians out. Anyway, the latest and biggest hacking ring to be busted is run by regular Ukrainian guys and employs sophisticated state-sponsored techniques, primarily targeting American businesses and companies. So, America should rethink about sending lethal weapons to the Ukraine. They're doing that now. Don't arm those fascists. It's incredible, man. Hitler didn't want Ukrainians. He thought they were subhuman. Even though the Ukrainians wanted to fight with Hitler. Hitler said no. They wanted to fight the Russians and team up with Hitler. And the problem here is it used to be, for decades, it used to be a communist country. They were forced into communism. So when they had their revolution, which was peaceful in the beginning, instead of going to they went to the extreme left, from the extreme left to the extreme right. Again, I'm showing you that I am objective. I shit on all of them. And it's very likely that they shot down 200 Dutch citizens on MH17. The Russians had nothing to gain for that. What I think is they mistook our jet going to Malaysia for Putin's plane. They tried to shoot down Putin's plane and they missed, and they shot our plane. So here comes the seventh fuck. 8, 9. Fuck the Ukraine and the fucking fascists. The only fascist that we want is a dead one. Apparently this hacking group in Ukraine is called the Fin7. It's the most costly cybercrime ring in town. The group has earned its stripes as one of the most sophisticated and aggressive hacking organizations in the world, alleged to have leached $1 billion from companies in America and around the world. The Fin7 is also known as the Karbanak group, has stolen more than 15,000 credit cards datasets from at least 3,600 businesses around the world in its years-long operation. The Department of Justice has already indicted 3 Ukrainian nationals for their involvement and charged them with 26 counts of felony each, including conspiracy, hacking and wire fraud. The 3 men, Dmitro Fedorov, Fedir Yadir and Andriy Kopakov, right, were high-level operatives in the underground empire as an administrator and group supervisor. But make no mistake, Fin7 still continues its insidious operations even with the 3 behind bars. Barry Vangerik, that's a cool name, Barry Vangerik, threats against FireEye Inc. and co-author of the hacking report says they have been surprised by the sophistication of the techniques employed by the group, most of them associated with state-sponsored hacks and not your average financially motivated cybercrime. So I might hack you for money, but they do it for politics. I mean, I never hacked anyone. Please don't indict me. And I will deny this until the day I die. It's a plot that would impress even the most battle-weary spies. Take the case of one unnamed employee at a Red Robin Gourmet Burgers and Brews. One day, this employee received an email from ray.donovan@yahoo.com from what appeared to be like a normal email from a disgruntled customer complaining about a bad experience. The email urged the recipient to open a certain attachment. Don't ever open attachments of people you don't know for further details. Unfortunately, the employee fell for the rules and opened the attachment, unwittingly granting access to their network. In a matter of days, the hackers had mapped the hotel's internal network, probably using Shark Sniffer. Within a week, they had stolen the username and password for the hotel's point-of-sale system for their shop. Inside 2 weeks, a member of the hacking group uploaded a file containing usernames and passwords for nearly 800 locations. So this hotel had 800 locations. They got through on one location, and that's how they got access to the shop of 800 of their franchises, including details about location of alarm panels within individual restaurants. So they knew where the fire alarms were, even. They knew everything. The Fin7 indictment says there are at least 9 other hacks that followed Red Robin's exact playbook of relentless phone calls and bellyaching. The first round of emails usually looked innocuous enough, just an everyday customer reaching out with a question or a concern. But later on comes the email with a simple Word document or a rich text file as an attachment containing pertinent information by the customer. Forgot to open the attachment? No problem. A Fin7 agent will give you a call reminding you to do so. So he's socially engineering, making sure that they get the virus. The email trail might look something like this, and then you get a picture. But perhaps nothing proves the sheer professionalism by these guys, like the lengths they were willing to go to achieve their goals and later cover their tracks. For instance, Fin7 used a front company known as Combi Security that purportedly is headquartered in Israel and Russia. The website has been listed for sale since March, probably after serving its purpose. So there are connections to Israel and Russia. For instance, Vincent used a front company known as Combi Security that is purportedly headquartered in Israel and Russia. This one just had to be there for the plot to be complete. Oh, okay, so they faked the website to make them, yeah. So yeah, look, dude, I'm a security company. Look at my website. Members often communicated through a private tip chat server in numerous private chat rooms, collaborating on malware and victim business intrusions. So they had their own chat room, okay. Another program called Jira was used for project management, including tracking stolen data and network maps. So they had an actual entire company set up where you have to make sure there's like a project manager. I had to deal with those. Project managers are assholes. They have to make sure you deliver on time. That's all they have to do. And they don't care how you do it, they just want to make sure that you do it. So fuck whoever your project manager is. He's an asshole, and I hope he dies in a car fire. So this program was used for project management, including tracking stolen data and network maps. It's a ring staffed with dozens of members with diverse skill sets, and the majority are still lurking out there somewhere. Okay, but what did these guys do with all that stolen business data? Easy. Millions of stolen payment card numbers were sold in the black market website. In short, the horror show has just begun. Let's get back on the game. Wow, that's stunning, right? Ooh. Hold it. Guns up. Welcome to the guns up. It'll bring you to your knees. Wow, how can they get this far into the base? What? Burn, baby, burn. Roll the camera. You know where you are? You're in the gunza, baby. You're gonna die. How long have I been at this? I've been playing for 1.5 hours. And this is the most likely crash. I have most of the crashes started either here or at the loading screen at the back of this. So, what have I been discussing all day? I've been talking about the Turkish lira, where Turkey, the contagion is now spreading from Turkey to everybody. Everybody's scared now. Every investor is afraid they're going to lose their money, and that means they're going to sell, and nobody wants to buy, and that's where the problem starts. Because then certain banks are going to try and sell, but they don't have the money. They only have 3% of the money. If someone at a bank lends you money, they only have 3% of that money. The rest comes out of thin air. So if everybody were to go, or even 10% of the people were going to go to their money, go to the ATM, I want my money now, I don't trust them anymore. They just don't have the money. That would be 3 times as much money as they actually have. Alright. Comments again. I started with the Russian Prime Minister, Medvedev, said that if you impose more sanctions, we will fight back. I talked about Lord Rothschild and the New World Order, because the Illuminati are not behind the New World Order. They're just secret. They want to keep it a secret. But Rothschild, he has so much money, he don't give a shit. Is this version vanilla? Okay, right now I expect the game to crash. New Chinese military video shows of range of advanced weaponry. Okay, well I can't read that, so I can't direct you to the video. But it's described as follows. The video is brimful with the grandiosity that's now associated with the military. A lot of ammunition is fired, and the very latest in China military technology, such as combat aircraft, a carrier battle group, long-range ballistic missiles, submarines, and an armored vehicles is on proud full active display. Wow, okay. I want a strong 2's color. Flamers, huh? What's the name? SS Third Reich? He's a ladies' man? I bet he's gay. I bet this SS guy likes to take it in the ass. Look at his what the fuck? You see that flag? That's almost a Nazi flag. He customized his flag into a Nazi flag. You know what I said about Nazis and fascists? The only good ones are dead ones. Let's chat. Let's go have some fun with my Nazi guy. Damage. And health. Mr. Nazi. I bet he did not see this coming. Jesus Christ. We're almost at 100 minutes. Give me another rally flag. I want that. I want it. I'm gonna punch through this wall, take out that guy. Ooh, Looks like your Atlantic wall is not up to spec. I could go punch upstairs. No, go down there. And his name was Lady Man? I bet he's a lady boy. I bet he fucks his friends with a strap on because he can't get it hard. That's what I think. I'm gonna milk this guy. Keep putting grunts in there. I'm just gonna go back and protect my truck. Protect my truck. Yes, there's my rally flag. I think I should start, right? Yeah. No, I want to milk this guy. So how much points? 50 points. That's nice. 100 munitions for 2 of these. I'm glad I put that perk on. I think I want to take out that top bunker. Fire! Burn! Yes. Don't shoot. Let them burn. I watched oh, dude, that was definitely a glitch there. Game is about to give up on me. Oh fuck, okay. I don't want this thing to crash while I'm trying to kill a Nazi. No, wait. It's nice to have the rapid deploy on this guy. Come on, yes, perfect. Punch. Fuck. Punch here. I did not have the possibility to lengthen that. There was nothing below here I could target. Kill him. Kill your own men. Right here. Move up. Kill him. Kill him quickly. I've been playing Guns Up for 100 minutes. I think I'm ready to get something to eat. Alright then, I appreciate the viewership. Thanks for watching. And this is the part of the show where I start my sentences like this and end them like this.